Here we are again, guys. You missed 2 videos. Sorry, not you, me. I missed 2 videos. And then you gotta come back around. You gotta say, no, this won't be like before where we missed 3 videos in a row. We're gonna do a little bit better. We're gonna miss 2 videos in a row. Hello, everybody. My name is JacksonABush. Welcome back to another video. Today is Sunday, and you know what that means. It's time for the podcast, Week in Review. Roll this intro song. I don't have one? Okay, cool. Yeah, let's just jump right into it. So basically, today we're going to be starting with the introduction of a little-known musical. It's a little side project that's been in the works called Hamilton, the American musical. I think that's the moniker it got. I can't remember, but, you know, that musical released on Disney Plus this past weekend because today is July 5th. Yesterday was July 4th because that's how calendars work. And yesterday, a lot of people tuned into Hamilton because it's America's birthday, and, you know, obviously Independence Day goes along with Hamilton, goes along with the whole story, goes along with everything that we're doing right now. And it released on Disney Plus, which was pretty cool, actually, because, you know, last year, actually, I think it was released or announced 6 months ago or something like that. And they said that it was probably going to be released on Disney Plus in around 2021. But I guess because of everything that's going on right now and how the country's just kind of all at home anyway, Disney Plus was like, well, I guess we'll just move it up, which makes total sense just because, you know, Disney Plus can't show anything in theaters, regular Disney, and so Disney Plus, as the stay-at-home feature, kind of gets to be this great just provider of content. I mean, I got my TV up above right now, and I'm just kind of running Hamilton in the background. I'm not really listening to it. I have the captions on and stuff, just kind of looking at it, because, you know, it's just a great piece of art to look at. You actually look at the movie-ness of it, like, it's not just a wide capture of a screen of Hamilton playing, but, like, they'll have scenes where they'll have a close-up of Hamilton, they'll cut away, and it's just this really cool cinematography that they use to make the musical a recording, but also have some movie elements in it. And at the end of the day, I think that's what makes a lot of people psyched for this in general, is that they get to see Hamilton, if they never saw it on, you know, Broadway or just the stage with the traveling act or whatever. Now they get a chance to actually watch Hamilton, but also they actually get to experience it as a little semi-movie. I mean, it is 2 hours and 40 minutes. It's got a pretty big runtime. So the fact that people can just come out and actually watch it at home is pretty impressive. I mean, that's kind of going to become the big thing, right? We no longer have the option to go to movie theaters. Cinemark was going to open, then they closed again. Of course, there's like several open little places across like Texas and Florida. There's a handful open, but that's the whole country. You know, the whole country doesn't really have the option to go watch movies right now. So we're kind of living in this weird expanse where movies are kind of just going to start equaling home video. Does anyone remember home video with all the VHS tapes and I guess DVDs, Blu-rays and stuff? But that is the future that we're living in, which, you know, of any generation to be living in, now is a pretty good time for that. Obviously, you have digital movies that you can buy, and you have the experience of just getting popcorn yourself and then watching all of these movies at home, and you have the freedom to do what you want in your own home. It is a thing for people to look at and say, well, you know, I either have been doing this to save money or because I enjoy watching them at home better, or now people are going to go, hey, I kind of like this better. And so I think either way, it kind of signifies the death of the movie industry in terms of theaters and whatnot. I am kind of sad. Theaters are always the high point for me in going to see a movie. I guess it's just because of where I live. There's not a lot to do, so going and seeing a movie is always a good option. But yeah, without movie theaters, at least in the town that I live, I mean, there's some stuff to do. There's not a total lot, but there is some stuff. So it's just kind of like this big force just kind of doesn't exist. It does open up the chance for more social gatherings, I guess. If people watch movies at one person's house, you obviously have the freedom to talk and to eat whatever you want and just kind of interact with your friends. But then the idea changes to, well, are all new movies going to come out? Like Scoob was supposed to come out in theaters. It didn't. It got a direct to home, I guess, release, home video. And you also had that with the Trolls movie, which was the first one to do it. And a lot of people said, oh, that's so cool. This movie that was supposed to come out and would have made a lot of money in theaters could just come out for $20 and you own it right at home. And so, people are speculating that we're going to get to see that with movies like the Wonder Woman movie that's supposed to be coming out, that was supposed to be coming out in the summer. Now it's got pushed to October. The Tenet movie, which stars Idris Elba and is supposed to be moved back to, I think, the end of July, either that or sometime in August. And so, with these movies moving, I think it's just the studios kind of just holding out, hoping that these case numbers go down and that Cinemark, AMC, I say Cinemark because that's my favorite movie theater, Cinemark, AMC, Regal, any of those places can just open up eventually, but nobody really knows. I mean, nobody really knows what's going on right now anyway. And, this isn't the Corona case talk podcast. It really isn't. It's just, with so much of the news floating on right now, it's obviously important to talk about such a thing, because it does have a lot to do with what I would normally be talking about anyway. You want to talk about video games, and in a sense, they really aren't affected by this whole thing anyway. So, I mean, in that sense, it is a good time to be playing video games. A lot are coming out. You have the time to work on them at home if you're actually working on a video game. And for anyone who's playing them, nothing's stopping you now. You can just stay at home. And especially because, you have like the Steam Summer Sale, which is going on right now. So it gives people the opportunity to just go and buy buy video games and movies, I guess. But buy video games and just stay home and play them. I mean, that's why when Animal Crossing came out, it was such an important deal at the time. Because you could instantly dump 100 hours into a game where all you had to do was live this island life. And at the same time, people were home. So they were like, well, it's a nice escape anyway. It was a perfect timing for that game. A little too perfect, if you ask me. But you also had like Final Fantasy VII, which didn't actually end up performing as well as necessarily people thought it was going to, but it still was released. It was still something people could play. I mean, that's why you have a lot of people, like me included, deciding to launch YouTube channels now, because they have a lot of time now to actually devote into something like starting up a channel or starting up a small business that's at home, or anything that will get people from just staring at their phones and just being at home all day, even though that's kind of the scary reality of it all. But anyway, that's not all we're talking about today. We're not just talking about theaters and COVID. We talked about Hamilton. Well, I guess there is one more note. Sorry, there is one more note. I hate to spoil your day again, but there's one more note for this whole thing. And that is July 4th. Now, I think it's important to mention that July 4th actually had some pretty interesting developments this go around. Obviously, it's America's 244th birthday. Next year will be kind of a cool number landmark. But this year in particular was interesting. Now, it was interesting just because, a lot of people are either staying at home and celebrating, I guess, either with their immediate family, or maybe they'll have a close-knit group come together, or they'll be celebrating with just themselves, I guess. I don't know. But either they're at home or they're outside actually celebrating like normal years, but they're not wearing a mask and COVID may increase. And so July 4th is a weird thing for everyone to be thinking about, because as case numbers rise, which they 100% are, people have to look at, is it necessarily completely safe to be wearing or not wearing masks during this time frame? So that's what's actually really important right now, is the idea that, are we doing the proper thing in this moment, even though it's supposed to be a really big celebration? And I guess that is kind of the idea that, that we're all struggling with. So that was kind of the basis of that July 4th question, I guess, is what do we do in this time where birthdays are going to be coming up and people don't want to wear masks all the time, but if they don't, cases are going to continue going up, but we can't stay sheltered. I don't know. That's just a big question that people need to think about, or don't think about, just kind of escape, you know what I mean? Like, if people could just escape the whole thing, if we could just go to sleep and wake up and it be 2021, that would also be really cool. But anyway, so the next thing I have, because I prepped a couple things, next thing I have is this whole Shane Dawson, Chris D'Elia, everything that goes on with them, and the idea of cancel culture. And just in recap of everything, because these episodes are kind of brief, but in recap of everything with Shane Dawson, you obviously have all these clips coming out and all these allegations of not anything like extremely serious, but you have allusions as to what might have been going on in the shadows with Shane Dawson. A lot of comments he's made about minors and weird animals, and just the idea that he may not be as clean as maybe people could have considered him, even though, you know, he's always branded himself as like this weirdo that you're watching, which, I mean, it's smart branding if it really was in malicious intent. But with Shane Dawson, obviously, it's so weird because he was able to pull videos of these documentary clips that he makes that garner 100 million views every time he pops one out. And, you know, the algorithm would usually criticize him for not uploading for a year or whatever, but because of just how popular he is, or was, depending on how this whole thing works out for him, he would upload a video after 6 months and it would get 200 million views. And it's just, that kind of thing was unheard of on YouTube, but he just can garner such a fan base, and he really found his niche towards the end of his career, if it is the end of his career. And then the next one, obviously, this one kind of makes me a little bit more sad just because it's the comedy landscape, but it's Chris D'Elia. Obviously, you have a lot of stuff going on with Chris D'Elia right now that people don't necessarily know exactly what happened. They know text messages were sent between him and underage girls, but of course, he always tried to make it seem like it was exactly how it should have been, which was, it was a consenting adult. Now, you look at the text messages, and obviously sometimes it comes off as, you know, he does some weird stuff in the DMs where it almost sounds like he's willing to, you know, duke it out with a minor in that sort of way. But in all honesty, no one can really tell for his case, but it's, the damage is already done. Because as soon as that case gets dropped where someone complains about him, and then a number opens up, maybe there's some receipts, which we saw, and then instantly his producers drop him, and Chris D'Elia is kind of left out to the streets. So in that sense, obviously you're going to have a lot of backlash on both ends. Obviously, people are excited that Chris D'Elia is getting what he deserves for if these cases are 100% accurate and true. But also you have this idea that anybody can just complain, and if it seems valid enough at the time, even if, and we saw this in the Chris D'Elia case, Chris D'Elia actually came out with his own receipts of full text messages that, you know, he would wait a year after they said they were underage when they were a consenting adult, even though the kind of attitude that he attributed in that sort of light wasn't exactly kosher. It still served for him to do those sorts of things. So in the case of Chris D'Elia, his career is just kind of over, and that's where the backlash comes from. People are saying, well, you know, even though his side was told it's too late for him, he can't go back. It's the Louis C.K. story. You know, Louis C.K. also had some stuff come down under him, but he is just kind of working in the shadows now. He can never be in the public eye like he was back in 2017 when he was releasing Netflix specials. Now he can release his own special, sure, but it's just kind of this underground on his own website, not really in the public eye. Nobody really wants to pick him up, that whole sort of thing. So the idea that I just want to touch on is this idea of cancel culture, because it's just like, what are we going to do about everything that's going on? Are we supposed to just cancel them immediately and let the next star rise to the top? Are we supposed to put this thing under more evaluation as human beings? Or what exactly do we do about everything that's going on? Especially in the time that we're in now, every additional thing that happens between human beings gets amplified, because any anguish that's shown obviously gets put on more because of the situation where everyone's already a little bit on edge. So with that being said, it is interesting to note how much Chris D'Elia is going to just be outcast, and, you know, obviously he has the money. There's nothing for him to worry about in regards to this whole thing. But if it had been a lesser person in terms of fame, you know, if it had just been some guy in the office building who may have had his weird incident, and maybe he was more clean than people would have thought at the exact moment that everything happened, his career could be ruined, and that would just be the end of it, I guess. I mean, that is kind of the question of how do you handle things going forward. But I think that question is just left to be decided. I think for me, it's just hard to picture Chris D'Elia just going away now, even though he has an argument that he can say. I always think that people like him, and I always talk about the King Nappy in the YouTube world for what he did. I always think that if they have a chance to speak on the matter and maybe have something to say for themselves, even if it's strictly apologies, I think they should get on the most public platform and say them. Obviously with YouTube, anybody can publish a video, anybody can help Chris publish a video if need be, for him to just come out and make a public statement. But when they don't make public statements, any celebrity for that matter, when they don't make public statements and they just go away, it just puts all that blame on them immediately. And it's just like, well, if you aren't willing to stand up for yourselves, then why should any of your fans? And as harsh as that sounds, that's just kind of the way cancel culture works, and that's just kind of what we're in now. Ever since, I'd say about 4 or 5 years ago is when it all kind of started heating up. But anyway, that is kind of where we're at for this week's kind of week in review news. And now for the last bit of the last couple minutes, maybe just a minute, I just want to briefly talk about the channel, how it's all going. It's going pretty well, I'd say. I definitely need to branch out in terms of SEO, search engine optimization, try to reach out to some more of you guys, hopefully add some more to the ranks of whoever can watch these videos. And obviously this podcast isn't going to get as big of reach as it can, but like the Pokemon videos, I definitely try to put a lot of work into thumbnails and some of the editing on some of those videos. So it will just kind of come down to how well I can put myself out there, I guess. I definitely have a very interesting challenge video coming at the end of this week that I can't wait to share with you guys. I think it will be pretty fun and interesting. But anyway, so here's how the week is going to work out for this next week going forward, because the YouTube week always starts on Monday for me. So Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we're going to start doing Fire Red. I want to start doing a proper game series per week that we can actually turn into whatever we're doing, and especially because it'll help us get through Fire Red quicker. So from now on, Monday, Wednesday, Friday will be whatever game we're playing, which right now is Fire Red. So we're Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Fire Red. Tuesdays and Thursdays are actually going to be the review videos. So usually it'll be a movie and a book or movie TV show, one of the two. We'll do those Tuesdays and Thursdays, and then we're actually going to go down a step to 1 challenge video a week instead of 2, because I want to put actually more time into those so we can actually get more done and more exciting content in that form. Those will be on Saturdays. So Saturday I already have worked out. I already have it not filmed, but I have a lot of it prepped already. So we're going to be good to go on that. And then Sunday will be this podcast. Now, I was out of town this past week, that's why I missed the 2 uploads. I'm not really concerned about the 2 uploads as long as I, hit the ground running on the return and just keep uploading. And obviously, if it's a bigger trip that's already planned out that isn't just like a spur of the moment, I'll back catalog stuff anyway. But for the time being, as I'm trying to reach out to all of you guys and trying to build my fan base up, it's not really that important at the moment. Obviously, we'll make it more important as we get more people in here. But for anybody that is watching this, hey, hello, thanks for watching videos of mine, and I will see you guys in the next podcast, in the next video, and I will see you tomorrow.